Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The second half of the tournament is about to get underway. A spectacular finish there saw Kona, despite a rather interesting rush into the final circle, win a three-way fight for the lead. And as a result, they never relinquished that, and they came home with the chicken dinner as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at how that has affected the leaderboards. They should be actually quite shook up after the last Miramar game, so it'd be interesting to see what the scores look like here. In first place, we have Team Arctic White, proving to us that that first chicken dinner crot was no fluke. They didn't get the chicken dinner this time around, but they have been in the top three and have been consistently scoring points often enough for them to be up top. Although that gap to Kona looks huge.
Yeah, absolutely massive. You know, they took the second place. They've got big frags. I mean, they're only 5 frags ahead, but they are nearly, 15 points ahead? Or no, 12 points, 13 points ahead, which is huge. That's the whole game. So that's huge. Big result, big finishes, just proving how strong they are on Miramar.
I'm assuming that the points are... We realized that earlier on the points weren't completely correct. I think they might actually be at this point because Kona was further down the leaderboard earlier on, Crot, and Rotate Around Yaz has actually scored a decent number of points. Instaflush, though, pretty much on this... 3 teams tied for second place at the moment is delightful. Team Arctic White with an a 12-point lead is a very, very useful thing to have at the halfway point of PSS. We have also seen teams throw away leads bigger than this before.
Yes, we have seen, and we've seen it close very quickly, especially we normally see this thing in PSS where the last 2 games are down to the wire. It comes down very, very close. So Team Arctic White taking this lead, I wouldn't get too comfortable already. We've seen Instaflush come from way further back than they have before to come up and swoop in and take the points. And with this lobby, it's anyone's game. Especially if we come out and we have 2 strong showings from Entropy and Instaflush, it could completely rearrange this top 8 all over again.
We have stories, though, from the bottom half of the leaderboard as well. I'm a little surprised, although it's only by 1 point. A little bit surprised to see Forsaken and Turtle Esports in the bottom half here, Crot. And Valuable Veterans with 6 points as well, 5 from kills after winning the previous PSS. That's kind of shocking at the halfway point.
Yeah, not a lot of points on the board. We would have thought Valuable Veterans, especially, having a lot more points than what they have, returning champions, and they've just got to hope that Erangel is going to be their jam and try and reclaim some of what the magic they had last time, Joro.
Based on the games we've seen so far, I find it difficult to believe that they're going to be able to do it. But at the same time, if you're ever going to reset your team halfway through a tournament, doing it at the point where you switch maps is going to be the place to do it, right? If they don't do it now, they won't. So there are a couple of teams like the Milkmen, like Valuable Veterans. A little bit surprised to see Fence and the Colonizers still down there as well. I thought they'd be a little bit more bunched up in terms of points. This first game on this first game on Erangel is going to be all important for them. They need to prove to everyone that actually we can bounce back from this. We can flip it around. It's only halfway through the day. We can get 20, 30 points, no problem. We'll see if they are able to do it. We're going to hop into the first game of Erangel now, ladies and gentlemen. This is game number 4 of 6 in tonight's PSS. And a very southern skew on the plane path, Crot. Oh my God. 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock here. Almost a long shoot to Pachinki at this rate. What's going on?
Very long shoot to Pachinki if anyone's going to take it. We are going to see 3 teams take the military island, which I honestly think is going to be the play here. Looking at that, I think we could be in for a milli circle, Joro, potentially. We're going to see 2 teams go to
No, mate, it's going to be Zaki now.
Yeah, can you imagine? We're going to see 2 teams fight over Primos, which are going to be the Milkman and Wii Sports. We see Instaflush taking a lot of ground around that first bridge. Ooh, Stelba's still in. It wasn't too far off, Joro.
Wow, okay. And it could still hard shift north. I mean, Rotate Around Yaz can still do as their namesake. It'll be interesting to see how they choose to approach this. Very, very
What's going on
eastern
in military
circle here.
base?
Oh, no. Alright, Kona have gotten one knock. Can they get a second? 3 bullets left on the SLR. Not ideal, but it's good enough. And that's Holz's down. This is Turtle and Kona. And unfortunately, Turtle are now down to 2. Kona more or less all dropped together in C Block and Factory. And it looks like Turtle Esports were a little bit more split. And as a result, I don't know if it was a 2-2 split or if everyone was splitting individually. But Choke is going to have to back off and perhaps live to fight another day here. Kona were very close to each other and were able to cover for each other. And as a result, they've gotten the kills in the bag and are able to continue. I beg your pardon as well, Crot. It's not 2, it's 3.
It's what? Yeah, they've taken a lot of damage there. And I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed seeing that close-up DMR fight between all of them. That's fantastic. And now we see Kona 155 running in with that DBS, which, you know, in a close range fight can be all devastating. They do need to push as a 4 here. Mage straggling a little bit, but I don't think the remaining member of Turtle is going to want to take this fight. Oh no, we're seeing just off screen. Oh, now on screen, the fight for Lipovka, and it is Arctic and Veterans again, and they're already down a member. So this could be another strong showing another showing of strength from Arctic, taking out the previous champions at spawn again. Come on, Veterans, what are you doing here?
2 teams Lipovka, at least it's in circle, but it's interesting to see that on Miramar, pretty much everyone, with the exception of Chuma Sarah, were dropping relatively far from each other. And right now, we're seeing a couple of very, very heated fights between several teams. Valuable Veterans here. They've got something to prove this game. They really don't want to leave here without that squad wipe. But at the same time, they are up against a team that's at the top of the leaderboards at the moment. This is Arctic White. Arctic White have a decent position off to the southwest, and more importantly, they're all together. So are the Veterans, though, to be fair. I don't know how much utility both of these teams will have been able to loot so far. And, Crot, I don't really think they're in a position where either of these teams can realistically just rotate away. I think Valuable Veterans, they have a car in the garage, but that's about it. If they don't take that car to leave now, they basically have to win the fight.
Absolutely, and there's great shots coming out. They're going to try and get a little bit of damage off, just throw some nades, potentially just push, but Syria's going to get spotted out there, and they just need to regroup, get in that car, and absolutely get out of dodge. And I don't think Arctic White are going to allow them to do this. They've got the player on the top of the roof, getting that Overwatch down, waiting, tagging them up with a mini as Yazak moves around, trying to get the flank onto this, and it's a really well-constructed push. If you look down on the minimap, they are slowly but surely gaining ground and starting to move forward to wrap on all these players. Oh no, colonizers. Lafroche, he just dropped out of a car, or got run over by Delves, I think. Bless.
There's always got to be one, and I feel like maybe they thought Zach needed a bit of company, you know what I'm saying? So it's fair enough. It's good to make sure that one player doesn't always get off the heat. The Arctic White now have 1 kill at the moment. The Valuable Veterans now indeed choosing to rotate out using the vehicle that's in the garage. Very, very smart thing for them to do there. I think there are only 2 people in that car, though, so there's 1 more member in Lipovka alongside Arctic White, and if they don't recognize this, then Surai could actually do quite a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, he could indeed. And, oh, it looks like he's going to start doing the damage, and that's the first one, and Yazak has been a particularly strong player, and that is going to wound Team Arctic White for the rest of this fight and the rest of the game, Joro.
That's exactly what they did need right now. I'm sure they needed to realize that it might not have been the entire team moving away in the car, and that assumption has cost them a lot. Potentially 2. It is going to be 2.
He gets the pump out. He's not done yet. He is done now.
If he finished with the pump and he managed to get 2 more kills, that would have been insane. But that was a critical mistake for Arctic White. Talking for the Valuable Veterans, though, this is really, really not good for them. At least they managed to get 2 people out of the city, right? But you don't want to be losing members this early on when you have a point to prove.
Exactly, and that is the point with veterans in this PSS is they do have a point to prove. They needed to come back. They needed to be strong and show that last time wasn't just a fluke, and they were consistent all the way through for a reason. And they have just been locked out of every single game. They have opted to go and crash Mansion. Great compound, fairly central, but I would like to see them play together, especially now that Rotate Around Jazz are in the same zone as them. And unfortunately, Rotate Around Jazz aren't even going to get to rotate around Jazz in this game. It's too south, Joro.
I mean, you can but try, but they won't always be able to do that, unfortunately. A lot of teams rotating in very early, recognizing that they have to move really far across the map from west to east. Wii Sports are one of the last to move in. They're still in and around South Georgia. A lot of fighting going on between what looks like Entropy and the Colonizers at the moment as they jockey for position. I don't think anyone wants to go as far as Lipovka, and it's really triggering to see Yasnaya twice on the map, by the way. I keep thinking there's some sort of observer bug there, but they are on top, more or less, of the rest of the valuable veterans. They've also got 4 A-men to their west and the life-saving killers to their northeast. There are enough compounds there for everyone, though. It's not like they're all out in the open.
I just realized how bad their logo is now that they're actually playing on
It's awful. Like, if they were just north of Yasnaya, we would be so confused right now.
They would just blend in. We would just see a random line. Oh, phenomenal. But yeah, we've seen a lot of players moving in. It's been fairly efficient. They are just trying to grind for those compounds. And we're seeing a lot of teams moving in. It is fairly coordinated. There's a little bit of peace while everyone's moving in, but Joe understands that peace. Get some shots onto 137. He does. Lipsa gets vested wins out of his vehicle, and this rotate is not going to be as clean as they wanted. The second one going down, and that's Bot Cloner, the team captain for Club 137, and one of their players.
Out in the open is not where you want to be rotating in a game like this. That's Bot Cloner out, unfortunately, to Entropy, who pick up their first point of Erangel. Phase 1 closing now in just 10 seconds, and no one else is going to be here, of course, to help because Bested Wins is nearby. Carlos thinking about trying from range, but with only the 2x on the SLR, there's only so much they can do. I have a feeling they're simply going to have to continue as a duo.
That's really unfortunate there. No one likes being caught out on rotation. I think he's just been downed and flushed by Loggery and Mage.
What? What's happening? How?
Are they fighting in blue? Can they not make it to blue or something? They were on military island, right?
Yes, I guess so.
Such memers that they've actually just...
Oh, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
He's actually taking a few shots at insta-flush on their rotation. He's just going to look down onto this compound just above J as C-Play open fire onto the Milkmen, and Fox going down and being flushed. He's being punished for being outside in the open of this compound as C-Play just overlook, take the tires, and they're going to stop the Milkmen from rotating any further. That's what they want to do.
Oh, mate, I don't know what's going on in this game right now. It's a little bit crazy. We can see, C-Play more or less coming right up onto the Milkmen. Are we going to see a bit of potential action here? It looks like they're split enough where they've decided they don't actually want to take the fight. So that allows C-Play to move a bit further north. Thankfully, we've moved a bit west, away from the coast and away from Lipovka. It does also mean, by the way, that Rotate Around Yaz, Krot, can now finally rotate around Yaz.
Incredible. And if they don't do it, I think we need to penalize them 5 points. Just saying. If they need a minimum of 1 player to rotate around Yaz, or they lose a kill point. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'd be up for that.
I don't think Mobster would be very happy. But we are seeing a lot of teams now move into Yaz. It looks like we got the Life-Saving Killers, Forsaken, Fence all moving in. And these apartments are going to be so valuable late game with the lines of sight, the cover, the potential loot that's still left inside them, switching out those helmets and those damaged vests. And this could potentially be very big fragging, but this is one of my favorites, and this circle does seem to come here a lot. So I think Cronenberg taking this shack with Felon could be very powerful. One up, one down, just ready for the crashes and trying to pick off whatever they can. But they are very exposed there from Liquid Hill and the apps behind them where Forsaken of taking up their post.
This is interesting from them. I like the commitment to focusing on playing for the long game. I think this is the correct play from the valuable veterans. It's a pity they have to do it as a duo, but without the numbers advantage as well, I agree with you, Krot. Taking a position like this, acknowledging that, look, rotating out of here is going to be hard. We're basically banking on being alive in phase 6 and getting into the placement points here. Felon almost dies just getting from the shack into the wizard tower, for example, but once they're able to do that, I think they should be more or less home free.
Asinki has just messaged me saying that he had a technical issue and that PUBG is reinstalling itself, which will take 50 minutes.
Okay, that makes a lot more... No, I reject that. I absolutely reject that. They were memeing, and they accidentally shot and killed their teammate.
I want the meme dream to be true. Yeah. But that's really unfortunate, especially after clearing up that initial fight with Turtle Esports, getting the 4 points, and now Asinki, who has been absolutely wild so far, just as being removed from the game, not by his own fault or another player. It's very, very unfortunate. Now coming in very late into the zone as we see them. They've got to go past Entropy, rotate around Yaz if they decide to go east side, or the Milkman if they start to wrap around east. No, sorry. If they go east, they go into Yaz, rotate around Yaz, and if they go west, they gonna head into potentially C play, the Milkman, and Wii Sports. So this is looking kind of rough for them right now.
I'm looking for ways that people can rotate in that would be relatively safe for this circle. Ultimately, maybe a team could take like gas station to the west of Yasnaya, but most of the positions have already been taken up. 137 is going to seriously struggle. Arctic are going to be rotating in very late. I think they're okay. Their numbers have been depleted, so they don't really mind spending a little bit longer and finding a position on the edge. They might have to rotate around and maybe go for, North Yasnaya, but the west side, not the apartment.
Yes.
One of the teams could end up going there as well. But aside from that, I think everyone has to take a punch.
Look at how ballsy this rotate into the ditches is from Kona, though. They just sent it through 3 of the top seeded teams so far. They just went insta flush, Entropy, go on, take your shots. We're having this ditch. And now they've got themselves a lovely place in pretty much the center of the circle to frag out with. My word, I can't believe they were allowed to do that.
Instaflush taking a look at Kona at the moment. Won't be able to find them just yet. Kona and Instaflush are very close to the center of the circle. Valuable veterans, we know about them and their position south of Yasnaya. They are more or less center as well. They're going to be happy here. 137 have indeed moved the way that I was thinking about a little early on. Whether they end up in those buildings or not, it remains to be seen, but they are very close to Lake Yasnaya. And rotate around Yaz have moved to the far east side of your screen. The moment they have to cross that road where 4A men are, that's going to suck for them. So they're very happy to stay to the east right now. Basically try and get as much information as possible. Try and keep vehicles available so that if they need to send it into a compound that they spot as free, they can do that with as little obstruction as they can. There are now also, by the way, a minimum of 4 teams in Yasnaya, which means if the circle hard shifts south, Krot, this is going to be a bloodbath. Yeah,
absolutely. And going on to your point about rotate around Yaz, when they come up to try and contest 4 a.m. when they have to cross that road, fence are going to be their biggest problem. They've got the high-rise building, the police building, and that 5 or 4 stack with the roof. They don't have to cross yet, but as soon as they go to the road on that ridge, they are gonna have bullets raining down on them from that 5 stack, and their lines of sight are fantastic from there. So fence are going to be the biggest problem from them, I think, before they even start to think about contesting 4 a.m. And of course, you've got Entropy on the south side of the circle that are probably going to rotate up and try and take some of those hills just in between them. So really good. But 4 a.m. absolutely dead center.
I think rotate around Yaz got a little bit lucky here. Hard shift towards a 4 o'clock position means that 137 have to move into the field. They get spotted by the life-saving killers. Kona getting rushed in by C-Play, and that gets absolutely taken down. Wow, there was no mercy there. 3 of them have 6 kills at the moment, and this is phase number 4, so they're reasonably pleased with their point haul. We still have a member of C-137 off in the distance, but they're just going to try their luck elsewhere. I don't really think there's very much place for them to go. As soon as they move into the south side of Yasnaya, you've got Arctic there, you've got the life-saving killers there, and they're going to be sandwiched between 2 full squads as a solo, I think? Yes, indeed, as a solo.
Yeah, really unfortunate there, and he's just going to have to make the best of a bad situation and try and hold on for as long as he can. Now we're seeing the 2 remaining members of Arctic worm their way through. Yaz just trying to get a little bit further forward. Now, they are completely surrounded. They don't have the numbers, and this is just going to get really tough for them really quickly, especially if any of these further south players teams know exactly where they are. Another big fight.
Kona, speculative initial nades onto Wii Sports. I'm not sure if Wii Sports realize that these are 2 separate squads. They've got their eyes on C play in those single-story blue buildings. The issue isn't so much them, it's whether Kona decide to aggress on them. If Wii Sports want to take this fight 1 versus 1, as far as a team is concerned, that's fine. But if Kona chooses to, they can stab them in the back right now. And the question for me is, when the shooting starts, what will Kona choose to do? Wii Sports rotating around so that the third party becomes that much more difficult as a result. They spotted 1 person in the right-hand side building. Nobody else yet. And Kona, very happy to stay put. They think that even if this is a possible fight, it's not one that they want to sacrifice their dip to win. Although, that said, Wii Sports get shot at from afar, and this is exactly what they do. They move straight back home, making Krona take a look at them again. They have to. They're forced to. The vehicles are right next door.
Yeah, and this is the thing. These dips are so powerful, but the second you have to crest, knowing that there's another team in the adjacent dip, you are skylining for everyone else in that lobby, and you get backfilled, and it makes it aggressing onto the opposite dip so hard. No matter how good you are, you're just going to get shots from afar, ringing in your ears or into your back, Joro.
And here comes the red zone the other way. Wii Sports are having a go at Kona. They haven't gotten a knock so far, but some of those nades have come close. They need to think about moving further in as well. The circle is about to force them to move. Yasnaya, oh god, Yasnaya was crowded before. It sure as hell is crowded now. We've had 1 team out so far. Here comes the third party. This time it's from C-Play.
C-Play.
Hi, going for the quick revise. Boehm actually might get the second knock on this as well, and this is a problem. Wii Sports are going to end up becoming a sandwich now, bro.
Yeah, C-Play come out, played absolute spoiler. They could have stayed there and had a look around, but they decided to play it very late and then just move out, wanting to get into Wii Sports dip, and they've got the initial knock. I'm very surprised they didn't aggress on it, but like I said, you take that high ground and you're very exposed. But this is good play from Pi here, just to move around a little bit and get out of that dip. C-Player are going to think that he's probably the remaining members of Wii Sport are exclusively in that dip, and this could be huge, catching them on an alpha angle as they choose to crest. Now, for me, I think they're going to hug the edge, and they are going to wait for a knock to come through from Kona onto Wii Sports, knowing who is in there, and then they would want to aggress. But this is a weird push at the moment. Oof.
Meanwhile, Forsaken versus the Colonizers in Yasnaya. That's 2 of about 5 teams that are still here. Mike Luke spotting him out from the other side of the broken wall, but unfortunately he had no ammo left. Luckily was able to swap just in time, but it's not enough to save Like Luke from the blue zone. Big blunder there as teams now start to rush out as quickly as they possibly can. The issue is there were so many teams there before that you have to push out late, and of course, the more you push out late, the more teams like this are going to be able to get absolutely tasty number of kills. Forsaken now and Owen. The only man currently left up gets a second knock, though. Hopefully that translates into points for them as the Colonizers try and move out from Yaz. There's 1 player left on a hay bale. Where else? Oh no, Kona finally deciding to move in to the rest of the squads there. This is actually life-saving kills. They've moved further central, by the way. They've taken a very completely different team, and it hasn't worked out for them at all. Dwight, MD, from the life-saving killers, unfortunately, will clean out Kona, and that means that this edge fight we were looking at before, Krot, it's just a 2-way street now.
Yeah, that was really surprising. I was not expecting the life-saving killers to pull up and for Kona to get wiped as quickly as he did. Dwight doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. Just off screen quickly, we did see Forsaken get taken out by the vulnerable veterans. And Insta-Flush is taking out Entropy. So they bought themselves a lot of real estate here on the back of this hill. They do only have a car and a tree as cover, but if they can just keep rotating around Jazz at bay and potentially one of the other teams start taking shots onto them, Insta-Flush are in an amazing position depending on this shift to take it. And yeah, right, rotate around Yaz, need to clear out Insta-Flush and vice versa, and then they have the hill, they have that southern control, and this opens up the game for both of these teams. It is whoever wins this fight, Joe, in my mind, if they choose to aggress on each other, is the winner of the game.
You know, I think you might be right there. I think it's whoever, I will say, whoever aggresses wins the game, provided they don't get third-partied, is probably what I would say. Because if I'm for Amen right now, I'm thinking I can take any fight in the circle right now, right? But as soon as I take one of those fights, the last thing I want is to be shot in the back. If I also get shot in the back, I'm a little bit worried. So if I'm them, I just want to stay in the compound until I'm sure it's a 1v1 fight, if that makes sense. Provided...
We're going to see a pull-up now, and it is Fence aggressing onto 4 AM, and this is a really good move for them. They didn't have a lot of options coming out of Yaz, and now they're just pushing. Utility dump coming in. Stanker getting the first knock onto Valley, and they have opened it up, but they're taking a lot of damage in response, and they're not able to follow up this push. Vanny getting a second one. Or, no, is that the... Yeah. This is turning into a bit of a problem now for these guys, as... Fence are just aggressing and putting on Kieran on the outside. Kieran's going to take down Stanker, and that's going to blunt the push and make them hold off. But now they are just sharing this confidence. We see Fence moving as an absolute unit together whilst 4 AM trying to hold on to this building. And they're doing a good job. They've evened up the score a little bit here, but all wounded, and they've been fighting forever. So, Avani just holding it at a cheeky angle. He's going to push up, right up to the building. Kieran saying, no, thank you, sir. Takes him out of the game, and now it's just left to amateurs and I believe Kuzi to try and clutch this fight out against the 3A men.
Well, 4A men got their wish. They wanted to make sure that any fight they have is a 1v1. It is right now, but Fence are certainly putting up a hell of a struggle here. 4A men need a way to flush them out of this compound, even if it's so that they get an easy rotate into phase 7. Right now, they can't leave those. They can't leave those houses. They need to find a way to get an angle, get that initial knock, and hopefully move together as a team. The res has happened. 3 of them are left. Looking for an angle is amateurs. Molotov into the near. Can't find anything just yet. Never mind. Consider me completely wrong as Cabroyo gets absolutely wiped. And the other 2 Amen, they're a little bit too far. I don't think this is going to be a res.
No, I don't think so. They're doing great work here. Patience. But if you look off just the bottom of your screen, who's that just sitting on the edge of the circle that's watching eagerly onto this fight and potentially in a... Oh, Kieran absolutely doing work here. He has blunted this push. He's on 4 kills now by himself. Valley is down. I don't think he's going to be able to get the res as that's the second knock, but he does have to deal with Kuzi. 2 of the very strongest fraggers from both of these teams about to lock horns, and it looks like Kuzi's just going to readjust. He's going to start using a little bit of utility. He knows kind of where Kieran is, and he's just stunning out. And he's getting ready to go for the push. Amateurs confirming the kill onto Valley as he was second or third knock and unresable. So now Kieran and Kuzi are about to lock horns, and this is realistically a no-win situation for either of them. As soon as they win this fight, they have to come out of this compound into the open field. All the vehicles are absolutely wrecked, and they've got next to no utility left. Well, actually, Kieran seems like he's got a fair few smokes left.
Kuzi's got 4 smokes, a frag, and a molly, which is enough for this fight, but perhaps not for the rest of the game. Yeah, this is going to be frustrating to say the least, and Kuzi deciding that an earlier rotate might be beneficial to him here. I'm inclined to agree, but he still has to find a way to get towards a hay bale in circle anyway, continuing to take peeks back to where they came from. Importantly, they do not know that Kuzi has left the compound.
No, and I think he gets backstabbed here by yeah, police forms. There you go.
Oh no.
called it early, and
He had to try.
he had to try. And he just didn't know that he was there. 4am eliminated. Who was it who got that final kill? And that was rotated around Yaz. As we see the life-saving killers pull up and try and take this hill control away from Instaflush. And they have managed to get one down. And it is just 2 down. It's just Nick the G left. And he is not going to be able to get any of these ridges without very heavily exposing himself. And even coming into contact with the team. Everyone with full lines of sight onto the hill from the inside. Rotate around Yaz, still doing this annoying damage that we talked about, what, a zone, 2 zones ago, saying about this hill. And rotate around Yaz have just been a thorn in Instaflush's side here.
3 alive, using the vehicle actually very well to bolster the cover around that shack, although I think they're going to spread out a little bit more. They've got the eastern side of the circle completely to themselves. We're into the final 4 teams. Instaflush, Life-Saving Killers, and Wii Sports are the remaining teams. Instaflush has a duo, otherwise we are dealing with solo members right now. This is a great opportunity for Rotate Around Yaz, but also a good opportunity for Instaflush to try and get some points. If they can find a way to make it into second place and maybe grab some kills alongside with it, that is very, very useful stuff for them. And certainly in a position where they would be very happy to see the momentum off the back of their chicken dinner add up a little bit more, Crop.
Absolutely. I really like this play, using the cars to move forward, get yourself some hard cover on the elevated position, raining down some shots now onto Instaflush, and they're not going to make this easy to get in zone. Doing a lot of the damage here, but it's just going to give this fight, it's going to give Life-Saving Killers a little bit of a chance to move in, but I don't think it's going to be too critical to this game with how Rotate Around Yaz have positioned themselves. They've got cover, they've got elevation onto the rest of the field, and then most of all, they've got Instaflush with their back against the wall, not able to get any foothold inside this zone with cover.
Oh, I feel so sorry for Instaflush right now. There are 4 teams left, and they must be thinking, why do we have to be the team that's fighting first? They're very happy to find a way to just kind of chill out right now and maybe defer this fight until later. They're now seriously split. And this means it's very much a free-for-all who ends up fighting Rotate Around Yaz second. There's no question that Turbo Badger and Instaflush are going to be the first team to do that. And Nick gets Scullipar, which means that if Turbo Badger goes down now, Instaflush going down in 4th place. They're not. Wii gets found by Nick as well. He's come alive. Will Instaflush survive to make second, or will Nick absolutely railroad this? That's Instaflush eliminated. Fantastic work and really, really good initiative showed here by Nick the G of the Life-Saving Killers.
Yeah, super impactful frags there. He opened up the window for the Rotate Around Yaz to get the final kill onto Instaflush, and he also takes out the remaining member of Wii Sports, getting himself 2 placement points realistically, Joro. 2 placement points for 2 simple kills, and he's done very, very well there. But now we see Rotate Around Yaz pulling on and just pushing up onto Nick the G. They know exactly where he is, and we're going to see Sil dump utility, dump those mollies, and just push hard. Hopefully they don't do what Life-Saving Killers did in the first game and hand him a series of 1v1s, but they are side by side, and it looks like they're going to push this as a unit, having Nilo as the anchor.
Nick trying to make this as convoluted and as difficult as possible for Rotate Around Yaz right now. Doing a good job of it so far, but those smokes are going to run out eventually. Mobster and Sills having a look in. Nick actually on the other side of the smokes and going Snake as well, making it as difficult as possible to be spotted. Niloya should be able to see close enough. Does indeed. Beautiful stuff. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Rotate Around Yaz. Didn't actually rotate around Yaz this game, but with their -5 points, they've still got a net positive after that chicken dinner with 5 kills. So I think we'll let them off.
Yeah, well, they've got enough kills, but it's still no rotation around Yaz, so we will look into penalizing them for this. This is a community grassroots tournament, and we make the rules. So rotate around Yaz or dip some points. No, I'm kidding. But great performance there. They did everything right. They were the thorn in Instaflush's side. They didn't let them gain the ground. They didn't let them get the advantage, and they really, really took that game away from who I thought Instaflush was in the strongest position. They did so well. The cover of the cars, moving the cars up, playing them so strongly. Great play. So I cannot fault that win at all. Really good game all round.
So that's game number 4 of 6, 2/3 of the way through tonight's PUBG Survival Showdown for March. You're watching the Coffin Dodgers PSS. We will be back with game number 5 after this break.